What's up, guys? Richard back here with another video. Today we're going to be reacting to I designed custom Minecraft bosses. The thumbnail is pretty cool, but I didn't want to show you guys the thumbnail because, the link below on this guy's YouTube channel, he's pretty good.
I'm a 3D artist, and today I'm designing entirely new Minecraft bosses for biomes that don't have them yet, because right now, there's not a lot of them. But here's the catch. In 3 days, a real mod developer is going to judge whatever I make from 1 to 10. Last time he told me to seek therapy, so I really hope I can make a good impression this time. These are some of my favorites I've made yet, so if you like what you see, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. If you've played Minecraft, you know it has a lot of biomes, so to keep things simple, the first biome I'm making a custom boss for is the forest biome, which is one of the most common, but where it gets complicated is that there's not just one forest biome, there's like 10 different options. Things like the dark forest or the birch forest, and even those have a bunch of their own variants. But the one I'm focusing on first is the flower forest. It's a rare biome with fewer trees than other biomes, but enough flowers that maybe even Instagrammers couldn't ruin it. On top of that, it generates an abnormally large amount of beehives, which is going to be important later. If I'm going to impress the mod developer, I need to make something that actually fits thematically with the biome it's made for, and that's where the Venus flytrap comes in. Venus flytraps are carnivorous plants that trap insects when at least 2 of the hairs in their mouth get triggered. But they don't just catch flies and small insects, they've even been known to catch bees. A Venus flytrap boss would make so much sense in this biome, so that's exactly what I made. I started by making the stem in the mouth and even added some 2D planes that will eventually be leaf arms. So now the natural question is, how will it move? Leaf legs. Let's turn weird fast. I added 2D planes for the teeth and also some thorns along the stem. Finally, I started the process of texturing. I did the basic colors first, and then I used other textures as stencils to add some variation. It's looking pretty cool, but if I'm going to impress the mod developer, I need to decide not only how it looks, but also how it's going to work. The flytrap boss would spawn whenever a bee tries to pollinate a flytrap plant, which would spawn pretty rarely in the flower forest. As for how it attacks, just think of this, but poison. The boss would also heal itself by burrowing underground, forcing the player to dig it out. When it reaches half health, it sprouts legs and does all the same stuff whilst running around like a maniac. When it's finally defeated, it will drop thorn.
To be honest, that was a funny part where it said running around like a maniac.
For these thorn bushes, which are basically cobwebs that cause damage, but only down to have a heart, which would make them very overpowered for farming. I'm really happy with how this one turned out, but I'm not looking forward to explaining the leaf legs to a professional mod developer. And real quickly, guys, before I design probably the coolest thing I've made, this video is partnered with Core, so I'm going to tell you about them super quickly. Core is a free PC gaming
Skip this!
So big thank you to Core for supporting what I did. The next biome I wanted to do is the jungle biome. It's a lush environment that's usually hard to navigate because of the dense plant life and obstacles. It's also home to jungle temples and watermelon for some reason. For such a unique biome, I wanted to make a boss with unique challenges based on the landscape. Who built these temples? Who eats the watermelon? Lemurs.
Hold on, play that again. 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 Play that part again.
Challenges based on the landscape. Who built these temples? Who eats the watermelon? Lemurs.
This is the funny bit. This is so funny.
Lemurs are native to Madagascar, which I guess technically is more savanna, but there's jungles too. Lemurs themselves wouldn't be the boss. They'd be a new neutral mob that would spawn mostly in jungles and can climb walls and jump between them. For the jungle boss, I wanted to make the Lemur King, but unlike most bosses, the Lemur King wouldn't attack the player. Instead, would run as fast as possible in the opposite direction while spawning endless hordes of angry lemurs to harass the player. This would definitely not be annoying at all, and I'm sure it will be lots of fun to deal with. When it's defeated, it would drop the jungle staff, which would allow players to stick to walls and propel them forward like the trident. This would let players jump between trees, and as a bonus, the staff would be able to call in angry lemurs to attack anything and everything. To start the Lemur King design, I had to make the regular lemur first. I used the ocelot model as reference with a couple major differences, like more joints on the limbs. This way it can stand upright without looking ugh. Next I made a crown and a few more tweaks, and with that the model is complete. For the texturing, I referenced real lemurs while using stencil textures just like before, and finally the Lemur King's design is done. It's a bit simpler than the flytrap, but the next boss ended up blowing them both out of the water. But I'm still happy with how they turned out, and I think it fits the jungle theme well. But unfortunately, the day of judgment was almost upon me. Very soon, a mod developer would be judging my work so far, so I needed the final boss to be a 10 out of 10. The next biome I wanted to do was a nether biome. The nether was completely revamped fairly recently, adding several unique biomes, from the basalt deltas to the warp forest, so it would be cool to make a boss that incorporates some of these new elements. I wanted this one to be a true final boss, much stronger than all the other ones. The idea I had was the nether dragon, and it would only be available after defeating the regular ender dragon, so there's a lot to live up to. I started my design with the original ender dragon model, but with a number of key differences. For starters, the tail has a trident formation on it now, and there are 3 heads instead of 1. A lot of the design will have to depend on the texturing, and this is where it really starts to shine. I started the texturing with a few main things in mind. This boss would basically be the ender dragon reanimated by pure rage, existing as an unstable collection of lava and netherrack, protected by netherite armor that heals it over time. The only way to stop it from healing would be to get it down to half health, at which point the armor would break, exposing more of the lava and netherrack. I started the texturing with the head and really did my best to make it fit the theme. For the mouth, I ended up going for this open furnace look when it's closed, and this flowing lava interior when it's open. Next, I tackled the neck and tail pieces, followed by the wings, which are netherite and lava. I got really into it and kept adding more and more layers of detail, like more furnaces or scale patterns, even lava veins on the underside. And when I finally finished it, I couldn't wait to show it off. But unless I wanted this to all be for nothing, I had to justify why it would be so overpowered. And this is what I came up with. The dragon would be extremely aggressive, plowing through blocks and leaving fire trails as well as endless fireballs from each head. When it's finally defeated, it would drop a Heart of the Nether, which can upgrade netherite tools and armor to the new best material in the game, the Super Netherite set. With this concept, time was finally up and it was time for my work to be judged. So I designed some bosses that I'm going to show you, and you're going to love them. You're going to love every aspect of them, I think.
Daniel, what did you do?
Once it falls below half.
To be honest, I think a funny part is about this show up. I have no idea. Let's see.
Oh, it sprouts legs.
Oh my god. For the design, I would definitely rate this probably like an 8 out of 10. I love the design. Oh, what's this over here? Ah, it fits.
That was a great impression.
I don't know. It could be a fun experience. I would rate the complexity of this probably an 8 out of 10. I love that he has a little crown. Pretty cute. I would rate this one probably a 7 out of 10, just because I think having an endless horde of enemies constantly harassing you sounds really not fun to me. Probably like a 6 out of 10 on the complexity. It doesn't sound too hard.
So this next one, it's called the Nether Dragon.
Oh man, that is really something. I gotta say, 10 out of 10 on design.
Go subscribe. He got a 10 out of 10. The bosses, like the main boss that he works on the most, like the last boss he works on, is the one that normally gets the highest rating.
I love this dragon. The complexity is also a 10 out of 10 because
Let's go! This guy's insane.
a lot of things that would be completely custom here, but that is part of what makes it so cool.
Dude, that's a big compliment. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I am so impressed by this. I actually am a little sad that I can't play with it.
With that, I fulfilled my dream of
Why didn't he just copy it?
impressing a mod developer. If you want to see more of those in 3D, give me one of these.
Okay, let's watch another one. Let's watch another one.
I'm a 3D artist, and in this video, I'm designing all new Minecraft bosses for biomes that don't have them yet, because there are barely any at the moment. But there is one catch. In 3 days, a real mod developer is going to judge whatever I make from 1 to 10. I can't say much yet, but these might end up in the game, so I really need these to be good. The first area I made a boss for are the new amethyst geodes. Currently, amethysts aren't used for much, and so while they are cool, the geodes are about as useful as the new dislike button. But that's where the new boss comes in. Whenever amethyst is broken, there would be a small chance to summon the crystal golem, who would run around and shoot lasers from the crystals on its back. It would drop the crystal heart, which can turn these boys into crystals which don't take any damage less than a certain amount. On top of saving the damage, he'd also drop a few placeable crystals which can be dyed different colors for decoration. I think it's a pretty good idea, but first I have to actually make it. After a few gigabytes of added details, it's time for the lovely process where I color every pixel on this godforsaken model with a mouse. Amethyst Amethyst geodes are made of basalt, calcite, and amethyst, so I used a combination of these to make the texture. Next I added a bunch of crystals along its back, made it glow in the dark, and with that, the golem is complete. This is honestly one of the best I've made so far, but this guy isn't impressed by anything, so I've got a long way to go. And not to panic, but the call is coming up quick. I only have 1 of 3 bosses complete, the Discord is crumbling, we have like 3 play buttons to make, I haven't posted on Instagram in like a year, and Raid Child Legends is about to break my door down. So I asked him, Skylar, give me some advice that would help me on my journey or whatever. He thought about it for a moment. If you listen closely, you could even hear the aluminum cans clanking against the shoreline. My advice is that nothing matters, so give it your all, because even when you fail, the sun is still going to explode. The next area I wanted to make a boss for is the mountain. Such a beautiful region, so peaceful, look at the go. Unfortunately, they remind me of the worst, horrible, life-ruining feature in the entire game. Let's say, hypothetically, you wanted to build this Avengers Tower at 6 p.m. on a server. It's impossible to get like 8 people to sleep or leave at the same time, and let's say, hypothetically, 52% of Minecraft players decided to vote in a creature whose literal existence serves no purpose but to shove me, personally, off of this tower while I'm building it because you need to sleep at least once every 3 days. I don't need to do that in real life. So you know what I'm gonna make? I don't know. Something out of Nightmares, I think.
Oh god. Can we just talk about the image you just pulled up? Like, oh, that's gonna give us nightmares.
Speaking of nightmares, today's video is partnered with Monster Legends, a free mobile game.
Skip it. Skip it.
For sponsoring this video. Phantoms are pretty much the biggest nuisance in the game, so I thought to myself, how could I make them worse? And that's when it hit me. I'm gonna make a giant phantom that shoots lightning everywhere, and you know what? It doesn't even care if you sleep, not until your entire world goes up in flames and all of your dogs are dead. All jokes aside, you know if this was one of the options, they probably voted in. These guys, they do it. You know they would. I started by finding some reference. When you search Lightning Phantom, you get a bike with a chair on it, so there's nothing I can blatantly copy this time. So I went about it the usual way, where I stare at the screen for 20 minutes, look at your ideas for like 10 seconds, and then regret all of my life decisions up until this moment. I tried and scrapped like 5 different designs, and ended up settling on just a bigger phantom, which doesn't sound cool, but what if I made it way bigger? I'm calling it the Blight. It's basically a tainted phantom. It's got ripped wings, it's got those gills. The Blight drops a very special item that is destroyed. You've heard of better armor, better weapons, better materials. This one drops a lever. What does it do, you may ask? It deletes phantoms from the game, that's what it does. No more leaving servers, no more sleeping. They're gone. But to make up for it, the Blight drops Tainted Membrane, which can be combined with the Elytra to make a better one. Tighter turns, built-in boosting, glows in the dark, possibly RGB lighting. I call it Better Elytra Blend. Haven't thought of a name yet. With that, the Blight is complete, but I still have one more boss to make before I'm in the clear, and this has to be the best one yet. The next biome I wanted to make a boss for was the Nether Waste biome. You guys really liked the Nether Dragon from the last video, so I thought I'd kind of piggyback off of that. My idea is the Netherite gas, which is a molten armored gas that simply ejects thousands of these homing fireballs. It would spawn whenever a gas tier falls in the lava, i.e. every time you kill a gas. I went to find some reference, but what I found was nothing less than traumatizing. Mixed in with the usual furry drawings and whatnot, just, what is this? Who spent their time of day to make this thing that will undoubtedly haunt the dreams of whoever lays eyes upon it? Frankly, I'd like to shake their hand, but for now, I think I'm going to go for a crab squid type design. So I started blocking out a T pose as usual, capital T in this instance. I decided to give it ribs, and I put this lava orb inside of it. I'm happy with this. It's gross enough. I tried texturing it in light mode, but I just couldn't figure out how to make that look right. But then I thought back to what Skylar told me at the beginning of the video, how it's okay to make mistakes, and pushing through is what ultimately gives you that fulfillment of creating something unique that you're proud to share with the world. But unfortunately, my community is going to exterminate me if I don't post soon, so I'm just going to copy the Nether Dragon, I think. The Netherite gas drops special tiers, which can be crafted with these homing arrows, as well as a magma bow, which can shoot 3 arrows at once. You see where I'm going with this. Against all odds, I finally completed all 3 bosses, and I think they're great. But it doesn't matter what I think, because the day has finally arrived. I made some last-minute changes, made the presentation more professional, and it's finally time for the call I've been waiting for. But before we do that, I just want to look back at all the mobs we've created over the years. Some were good, and some were even better. Some were inspiring, and some kept me up at night. The creeper had 6 limbs, and that's okay. I keep telling myself that every day. But after all these mobs and all these videos, I think it's time we add some to the game. Ladies and gentlemen, You get to choose one of the bosses from today's video and force me to code it into the game. There's a poll live right now on my Twitter, and whichever mob has the most votes in 7 days, I will add it to the game in a mod which I will release in another video. You ready to be impressed?
Absolutely, I am. I would rate this one an 8 out of 10, just because I really think it's got some style. For complexity, I would say this one is probably a 7 out of 10.
That's good.
For design, this one's a little more simple, probably like a 7 out of 10. The complexity of this mod is a little higher, probably closer to a 9 out of 10, just because
Nice.
the lever would be a little difficult. Alright, for visual style, I mean, I gotta give this thing a 10 out of 10. For complexity, I think, surprisingly, this one is actually not as complex as it seems. This is probably a 3 or 4 out of 10. Just because it's not complex doesn't mean it's not fun. That's pretty much it. Come on over, check out my channel, come see what mods I'm making, what games I'm working on.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I managed to impress someone who makes programs for a living, 2 videos in a row. Thanks again to Monster Legends for sponsoring this video, and don't forget to download the app before December 31st to claim that reward.
Wait, mental health at low point ever, so I'm gonna take a break for a while. I have no idea what that is. Yeah, this is my area here. That video is uploaded. Look at all these videos here. Look at all of them. Look at all of them. This one, guys, great job on getting my first video to 45 views. Thank you. And Richard out.